Hi guys, and welcome to another video by Channel Vegan and Frodo. Thank you for tuning back in again. Hope you're having a beautiful, wonderful day, and I'm so excited to see you back here again. Today's video is going to be in the series of cycling in different countries and my experiences in them. So for this topic for today is the Scandinavia highlights and lowlights. So this is about basically outlining the best and not so good things that I have found through my personal traveling tour that I did last year, or well, it's beginning of 2019 now. So last year in Norway and Sweden, and I've done a bit of research as well. I've read up a few little things and little blogs from other people as well, and including Finland and that as well. So these are Scandinavian countries in the north. If you're interested, I'm very excited to share my experiences with you and hope you get something useful out of the video.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Can I just start by saying how much I absolutely loved those Scandinavian countries. Sweden and Norway were just absolutely spectacular. The nature, I think, should be #1 highlight of the trip, of traveling trip, or any sort of trip that you do in the area. The foods, the forests, the lakes, the fields, the hills, the mountains. It's just absolutely spectacular. And if you're into some sort of water sport, or if you're into hiking as well, you can always do that. Another good thing about traveling through Scandinavian countries is actually that you can camp in a lot of places. So basically it's free, although you do need to make sure that it's not someone's property. And I was reading some things online that they prefer to be gone by 9 AM the next day. But usually you can find a lot of spots. On that note, on the accommodation note, one of the negative things or lowlights you can say that I have found about traveling through Scandinavia, as many people would tell you, is that it is expensive. It is definitely something that I have noticed coming from country like Japan that I was in previously, and a lot of Asian countries. It is even pretty pricey compared to Australian prices standards or the US. As you will see through the vlogs, you would have seen some of the vlogs that I've recorded there, the price definitely sort of goes up, but it's still doable, even on the vegan diet. Speaking of vegan diet, one of my most favorite things about these countries is how easy it is to eat vegan or plant-based or gluten-free or dairy-free or whatever it is that your diet speciality is. There's so many options. Now, how many of you have heard about IKEA, right? They do vegan little kofta bowls. They're absolutely amazing. They taste like really good. I've tried them the other day and I just really enjoyed them. So basically in Sweden, in Norway, in Finland, there's so much variety of that type of thing, from yogurts to little sort of plant-based combinations, not just falafels, little kofta bowls, little bean things, little, pastas and soups, and there's many plant-based milks, many cereals, many different options and variety. And a lot of things has little vegan sign, the little V sign, so it just makes it really easy for you to know what is it that you're eating, to make sure you're eating the right thing. Basically, don't eat something you don't want to be eating on accident. Like, again, has happened to me in the past. But let's live and learn, and that's okay, because no one's perfect. Another thing I absolutely loved about traveling in the Scandinavia, I went there in June, July, and the weather was just on point. It was sunny, it was warm, it was dry, and the sunlight was on for ages and ages. So basically, it is seasonal, of course, so that's, I guess, is one of the lowlights, that if you want to be traveling in the winter month, and by winter month I mean winter in the northern hemisphere, so that's December, January, February, or a few months into the autumn or into the spring, it could be pretty cold. The places being very, very northern. I actually have a map behind you guys here so I can actually like look, and it really takes me back. Anyway, by the way, I love maps. I think they're really cool. Anyway, when I was traveling there, the weather was spectacular and the sunlight was on from 6 or 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. like 8:30, 9 p.m. which means I had over 12 hours, like 15 hours of amazing sun and being able to see everything in front of me and not being really concerned with my lights. Of course, they're always charged up for the safety reasons, but it was just so easy really and relaxed, and light was something that I didn't need to stress about, and that was great. Although mind you still want to be finishing your cycling trips probably before 8 or 9 p.m. because if you're planning to cycle the next day you're going to be a bit tired. So that is definitely something to think about. Another positive thing that I want to mention about traveling by bicycle, tourist cycling in the Scandinavian countries is the fact that yes, these are European countries and yes, they speak different languages to you potentially, but a really cool thing is that from childhood they all learn English. So if you know how to speak English or even have some basics, they're going to be able to understand you. I'm also able to speak Russian, as my second language, or rather my first language, and English is my second. So that is a positive. It's a benefit to you if you're able to speak a third language, one of the European languages. But basically the people also, I found them to be very happy, very friendly, very interested in cycling. And slowly going into the next positive is that there are so many cyclists on the road and so many female cyclists. Personally, I thought that was really, really cool. There's a lot of bike shops through everywhere. There is a lot of infrastructure for cyclists as well. So there's a lot of cycling paths. There's just a lot of little bike fix-up stations. There's also even maps on the cycling routes in different places because these countries are really good for cycling. Absolutely brilliant. Totally loved it. Let me just mention to you here that Sweden, Finland and Norway altogether have a total population of 20.5 million people. 20.5 million in those three countries, which are pretty big, compared to, let alone from the previous video of Japan, was 122 million people. These are 40 and 3. And Japan is much smaller, tiny island. Or even some states in America. So California state, for example, has over 40 million people living in it. So people are very spread out. There's less people on the roads. There's less people in the cities. So you feel like you do have a bit more freedom, a bit more space to yourself, and you can just relax. See, when I go back in my mind to me going back to that place while I was traveling there, I just feel relaxed. I remember the absolutely spectacular nature that I saw that was just amazing and just really relaxed, very calm, not many people. I feel like people are not really that stressed out over there at all. Especially if they're earning there, so they don't need to worry about money and spending. So another thing I have noticed whilst traveling in the Scandinavian countries is there's lots of space and everything is very clean, which I think is again because those countries being an expensive countries, the taxes are higher and a lot of money gets spent on that, basically on the environment, on the preservation of environment, on making sure that the roads and everything is clean. So one of the lowlights, another lowlight that I do want to mention is that the maps, if you're following just Google Maps, it might not be 100% clear where you can ride, which roads bikes can go on, because there are a few highways where the bikes are not allowed on and which ones you're not. But usually it can be okay if you download Maps.me. So Maps.me is another app which I personally use, and you usually use it, you download a section of the map and it shows you different routes for a bicycle which you can use in the area when you're going from A to B, and it actually doesn't use any data, it only uses data whilst you're downloading the map. And when you're on the go, you can just track it with a GPS and have the map saved with all the roads and all the towns and everything on your phone. So that makes it really, really easy for you. But after reading a few blogs, I have noticed people complaining quite a bit about Google Maps not really warning them about the gravel roads. So sometimes Google Maps does take you on the gravel route in those countries. So I actually really don't mind riding on the roads with the cars. It's actually something I more or less prefer. Some people don't really get it, but to me there is mostly a guarantee that it's going to be a bitumen road, and also there's going to be someone in case I need someone's help. That's just generally my personal view. But a lot of people do love to go completely off-road and away from others and just kind of get that surrender and disappear from others, which you still get no matter what with cycle touring. So whichever way you want to go, Maps.me is a really, really good app. It's also a free app. So you just download maps for any country, really, wherever you're traveling in the world. Definitely check it out. So something else that is a low light of Scandinavian countries and traveling in the Scandinavian countries that people mention is that you cannot take your bike on the train. Now, it doesn't count for all the trains. It's trains in Sweden, and it's only for the line called SJ, which one of their main lines. For commuter lines SL or airport train from Stockholm, you actually can take your bike on the train, but it needs to be in the box or it needs to be folded, so similar to our favorite Japan that we just went through. Again, to me personally, it's actually very strange because I'm used to, in Australia, being able to take my bike on the train without any worries. I don't usually take the bike on the bus, but I have in the past in Australia, and that has not been an issue. I didn't have to dismantle it or have any sort of coverings. So just be a bit wary of it. In Norway, though, I know that you can take... I took my bike in a bike box in Norway on the train, but also Norway and Denmark and Finland and stuff, you can take your bike in a box or in a bag, but you also do need to pay a little bit extra. Something I also do want to mention about traveling in the Scandinavian countries, just like probably quite a few others, but these are the countries, Sweden and Norway is where I've noticed it the most, is basically needing to have a bug spray. During the day, just cycling, I had mosquitoes and wasps biting my legs, and that was really annoying because, you know, they bite and then you get like this big itchy lump on your body. So, I mean, obviously it's fine, you're not going to die from it probably, but it's just a little bit annoying. So you do have some sort of citrus oil or some sort of bug spray or roll-on or whatever, have it with you for that, especially if you're camping. All in all, overall, I think cycle traveling, and just cycling and just traveling and all of the above in Scandinavian countries is absolutely fantastic. I had the most amazing time in those countries. I absolutely want to go back. They're so beautiful. They're very charming. I feel like you're in some sort of fairy tale with houses that have grass on their roofs and Teslas zooming through the streets and ridiculously stunning nature and fjords and, you know, mountains around and gorgeous and forests and lakes and everything in between. Absolutely beautiful countries. Insane amount and variety of vegan foods. And let me tell you one tip is that if in Sweden, stuff is definitely much cheaper than it is in Norway. So buy and kind of stock up on a few bits and bobs before you cross over, especially if you need bike stuff like tires or extra lube. There is actually a town and a really, really big shopping mall basically on the border between Sweden and Norway. So whilst you're crossing it on your bike, it's a bike road there. Similar with the cars, it's just the same road. Stock up on your stuff, whatever it is that you need to get before crossing to Norway. But it's what it is. These places are expensive as well, but I think they make up for it in an amazing, beautiful nature. You can also camp in a lot of places. It's easy to find water, it is easy to find food and even gas and internet. There's a lot of Wi-Fi in different shopping malls and cafes and restaurants available. All in all, brilliant trip, amazing time there, and 100% recommended. Now these were my tips and my experience in the Scandinavian countries. Please let me know yours, especially if you're from there. Hi. Say hello. Definitely let us know if something that I have missed, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Maybe hopefully this video has been interesting and helpful for you, and I really appreciate you checking back in. Remember to stop counting calories, start counting hills, count your adventures, count your passions, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.
From a cherry, red kiss.